I decided to put this presentation together after my daughter received quite a standard scam, which was actually a death threat, would you believe? And I thought, well, there's a lot of people out there that are going to be receiving this sort of stuff, if not now, certainly more in the future. So I thought I'd put together a little presentation just to run through some of the standard things that you're likely to come across and how you can spot a lot of the fake things that you get through email and on websites. Also, there are some software packages that you can install just to make sure that you're a little bit more protected. So let's start off with some terminology. We'll start with phishing, and this is really in relation to the emails you get that look to be from reputable companies in order to get you to log into the website, so the likes of Amazon and eBay, that sort of stuff. And the aim there is that once they've got hold of your account, they can order stuff, get it delivered to another address, and get it billed to you. Spear phishing is a more targeted attack. And this is where you get an email from a known trusted sender where perhaps they've harvested your information from a hack attack such as TalkTalk. I was regularly getting phone calls from people reporting to be TalkTalk trying to sell me antivirus software, and of course it wasn't. There's also pharming, and this is where you are taken to when you click on one of those emails and they want you to log into a particular website that looks like the real thing. So moving on, this is this sort of universal term that you'll come across. If you think your PC is infected with something, a lot of people will use the term virus, but you could also quite easily use the term malware as well. Both are designed to disrupt and damage your system, and often they have things hidden inside them as well, and that brings me nicely on to Trojan, named of course after the Trojan horse, and this game's entry to your system under the guise of another application normally has another piece of technology embedded in it, which brings me on to spyware. And this can be something such as keyboard loggers, which are designed to run in the background of your system and store and transmit every single keystroke that you get in order to hopefully capture sensitive information such as a password. And of course there's ransomware, and we saw a big rise of this in the last couple of years with the likes of the WannaCry virus that hit the NHS. Incidentally, this was so successful not because Microsoft didn't release a patch, they did, but the NHS and many others hadn't applied that patch. Microsoft released it in March of 2017, and WannaCry really took hold in May. So people had 2 months to update the systems, but they didn't. If you're running Windows 10, you don't need to worry because automatic updates are on by default. But if you do run a different operating system, do make sure that it's up to date. So of course, why do these people do it? Well, the obvious one is to sell products, or they want to direct you to a website where they make money off of advertising. Perhaps they want to get ransomware, which of course brings you back to revenue stream. But a lot of people, in terms of hacking, do it just because they can. It brings them kudos and credibility in their field to show their prowess and their capabilities. How do they get your email address in the first place? Well, they might be skimming websites. You can actually download software that you can put in the web address. It'll go through every single page on that website looking for email addresses to harvest. If a website has been hacked, then maybe they can download the customer database. Again, TalkTalk is a good example. eBay's been hacked in the past, Dropbox, to name but a few. And they may actually just use a bit more complex version of an auto dialer, automatically create email addresses. So they'll look at known domain names and then just put different names before it, or even just random characters and just bulk email. And of course, if you've gone to a fake website and entered your details, then they've got your details there. And quite often these details are sold between groups as well. What I wanted to do now is show you some real examples that I have actually received. Go through and highlight how you can tell that these are fake. So we'll start with this one. So this is a fake TV licensing email, and it's asking me to click on that link and go to a website and put in my details, which of course I didn't do. And I hovered over the link, and you can see that the URL is nothing to do with TV licensing here. It was also sent to an email address that I wouldn't use for personal business. So those are the things to look for, certainly. Moving on, this is the email that was sent to my daughter. First thing is, you can see the English is not the best. And it's stating that there's a contract out on her life, but she can be spared if she pays some money, and she can also find out who put the contract out on her. Now, of course, they're asking for payment via Bitcoin, which is an electronic currency or cryptocurrency. Most people wouldn't even know how to pay using that currency. But there's a growth in these sort of emails, so certainly watch out for this. Here's another one that I received on my phone. It's a standard phishing attack looking for my Netflix username and password so that they can log in, change the password, probably change the email address, and start using my services. This one I received about 3 years ago, and you can see here they're suggesting I've got to go to court, got to view the case details. They'll probably want information such as my national insurance number for me to prove who I am, which of course I wouldn't do. Now I don't have the link to show here, but again, hovering over the view case details link would indeed highlight that it's not going to an official government website. This is another one where they're suggesting that I've got a parking ticket, but of course, what company is going to know to send me an email to tell me that I've got a parking fine? And of course, if you hover over the link, you can see that it's another website that has nothing to do with the company that says that they're sending me the email. Another police-related one here from the Crown Prosecution Service, but of course it wasn't from them. And again, they'll be asking for sensitive information such as date of birth, national insurance number, etc. to build a profile on you. Here's another one from a few years ago, very basic in its format. I didn't open the attachment, but it's most likely a virus in there. You can see from the email address that it has a Belgian domain name, and it's a very simplistic email, no logos, etc. So obviously this is fake. This message here was actually sent by text. If I was to log in, chances are they would log into my Apple account and quickly change my password in order to log me out of all of my other devices. And of course, when you have so many devices in one ecosystem, it would cause you a lot of problems. So just imagine your own setup right now. What would happen if you lost access to all of your content with the likes of Apple or Google? You can imagine how much of a problem this can be for people. As someone that buys a lot of domain names, this is something that I regularly get. They're actually trying to sell me a service, which probably doesn't even exist. And you can see it says, as a courtesy to domain name holders, we are sending this notification for your business domain name search engine registration. And then it says, it may result in cancellation of this offer, making it difficult for your customers to locate you on the web. It means absolutely nothing. They may well be offering some sort of search engine optimization or submission. I suspect it's not worth any value whatsoever. And it's just designed to make you think that your domain name is due for expire rather than any other service. Recently, I've seen a lot more emails that have got these .img or .iso attachments. These generally contain malware, so just delete them. So moving on, I wanted to show you a couple of websites that have highlighted how to spot fake and genuine web addresses. We'll start with the OpenDNS phishing quiz. So we'll start off with this one, and this is a Yahoo Mail login. Now you can't see here because it's chopped off at the bottom, but beneath this page were username and password fields. And this is fake because you can see this is Yahoo, but it's actually linking to a Google document. So someone has hacked someone's Google account, uploaded this fake page here, and then sent out an email. This is genuine, and you can tell that because it's green at the top because it's got the HTTPS there, which is known as SSL encryption. Any website that has that is most likely to be genuine. They could still have been hacked, but that is the first thing that will tell you that a site is more likely to be genuine than fake. Here you can see this is a fake Twitter login page. The domain at the top looks real, but what they've done is they've actually put what's known as a domain prefix. The actual domain name is ALL09.info, and then they put twitter.com instead of the www. You can actually set that up within the domain when you purchase one. So again, they've uploaded a fake Twitter page in order to capture login details. Here's a fake American Airlines login page, and interestingly, they can't spell the word member here. It's HTTP, it's not HTTPS, and they put member as opposed to member. Here we have a fake PayPal login. Again, the enticement here is that your account is limited and you can remove it by logging in. And you can tell it's very fake. It's actually a .mx domain name here, which is Mexico. They had tried to embed www.paypal.com within the URL, but of course, again, it's not HTTPS. And it's the front part of the URL before the first slash that you're really looking at to make sure that that is genuine. This is a genuine Comcast address, again HTTPS. Xfinity is a Comcast product, so you'd expect it to be on comcast.net or .com. This is obviously fake, it's just an IP address at the top, and of course it's unencrypted. And another fake site, you can see here the URL is nothing to do with eBay. They tried to embed a little bit here, but it's clearly fake. Moving on, this is a phishing quiz created by Google, and this shows an email that's displayed in Gmail. Now at the bottom left you can see that I've hovered over the hyperlink that says open in docs, the blue button, and then the hyperlink shows up there. At first glance that might look genuine, But if you look closer, you'll see that it actually says drive-google.com. So that's actually a fake URL in itself, and of course it's unencrypted. Here we have apparently a fax from a company called eFax, but if you look at the domain name, it's spelled EFACKS, not EFAX. And of course, if you look at the URL bottom left, although they've got efax.hosting.com, they then got another dot and then mailru382.co. So the domain name there is actually mailru382.co. And they put the prefix of efax.hosting.com before that just to make it look genuine. Again, another fake one. URL looks genuine to start with, but you need to look at everything before the slash, and you can see that it's drive.google.com.download-photo.cites.net. So the domain name itself is cites.net. This is genuine because you can see that when we hover over it, it's HTTPS and it's the genuine domain name. This is a common password phishing email, and the URL is customized to appear genuine. So what can you do to protect yourself and your devices? Well, I've got some golden rules. Firstly, always hover over every hyperlink in an email. And if you're not sure, open the web browser manually and type the address in. So if you get an email from your bank or something, just open the web browser and go to your bank's web address. Don't click on the link itself if you're not sure. Never bother replying to these spam emails. All it does is confirm your address. If you've got an attachment, unless you are actively expecting that from someone and you recognize the language in the email and everything else looks correct, don't open it, especially if it has a docm or XLSM extension. These are documents and spreadsheets that have macros in them, and a macro is where a virus would be embedded. As we've covered earlier, check to make sure a website has the padlock, e.g. HTTPS. Now, most websites should have that, but there will be the odd one or two that don't, and some of them only use it during checkout processes. So just make sure that when you're entering credit card details into a website, at that point, make sure that it's got the HTTPS in the address bar. It goes without saying you should have a good, decent antivirus, anti-malware package installed as well, and there are plenty of free ones on there, more on this shortly. Every now and again, in addition to letting the system scan itself regularly, you should manually scan it as well. It's quite easy to open your antivirus software and just do a full system scan. A password manager these days is absolutely essential, and we all have smartphones as well as our computers. You can get a password manager such as 1Password or LastPass, which is my personal preference, and you can install this on all of your devices. The passwords are available on all of them, and if your mobile phone has fingerprint or face recognition, you can log into devices using that biometric login. And finally, of course, backup, backup, backup. There are those that have lost data and will lose data. I've lost data in the past. I'm not going to lose it again. I would recommend actually having at least 2 levels of backup. So one of them might be to back up to an external hard drive or a memory stick and put it in a safe somewhere. And the other one would be, of course, cloud backup. And you can use things like Google Drive and OneDrive from Microsoft or Apple iCloud. All of these services will give you some space free of charge, but normally only around 5 gigabytes. Google's the exception, they give you about 15, but they will also give you unlimited photo backup. How do you check that you're actually vulnerable? And how do you check whether your email address is already out there? Well, there's a website called Have I Been Owned? And yes, it is spelled incorrectly. So enter your email address in this website. It may sound a bit fishy, but again, it's got the HTTPS there, so you know it's encrypted. And what this will do is it will check your email address against known compromised websites. Now, I put my address into this, and my email address was associated with 6 websites that had been breached. I already knew about all of these, so I changed my password a long time ago. But it's worth doing a test to see whether you've actually been exposed on any of these. As I mentioned earlier, you should always have a decent antivirus system installed on your computer, and there are plenty of free ones out there. I personally use Microsoft Security Essentials, but I also have Malwarebytes in the background as well. But you could choose any one of these. I wouldn't recommend having all of them installed, but Malwarebytes happily coexist with Security Essentials, so I tend to run both of those. I mentioned a password manager earlier, and LastPass is my weapon of choice, and you can see it's actually available on a variety of different platforms. The great thing about it is you can just install it into your web browser, whichever browser you tend to use, and then whenever you go to a website where you log in, it will prompt you to say, do you want to save this? It will save it into your vault, and then that password is available across all of your devices. So if you log into Amazon on your desktop PC, you can then open up Amazon on your phone and log in using your biometrics, as I mentioned earlier. LastPass also has a security challenge, and you can run this against all of your passwords in your database to see whether any websites have been compromised, if you've got weak passwords, if you haven't changed them in a while, and if you're using the same password on multiple sites. I mentioned earlier you can back up for free with various cloud services, but Google does have a couple of tricks up its sleeve that you might want to take a look at. You can download Backup and Sync free of charge, and they'll give you 15 gigabytes of space, but they'll give you unlimited backup of your photos up to 16 megapixels, which is more than many smartphones. So as a second level backup, it's absolutely fantastic to just install this, point it at your photos, and let it silently back everything up. It also gives you the benefit of working on your mobile device as well, so it'll back up your camera roll to the same place as it's backing up the files from your computer. And you've got the further benefit that you can pull up all the photos on your phone that are stored on your computer wherever you are, as long as you have an internet connection. So that covers this little tutorial on scams. Several of the products I've mentioned here are covered in my book, along with various other useful gadgets and software. If you've had any nasty experiences with email or website scams, then do put them in the comments below.